What made you want to hook up with Reggie to do the Gangster Chronicles?
That was something, they called me up about that. I had no plans of doing a podcast with them. I was actually planning on doing a different podcast with Bone from Athens, Clee Sloan Bone. Him and I were talking about doing a podcast together. We're still talking about doing a podcast together because Bone doesn't really do a lot of talking, and he doesn't do a lot of interviews, but he's a close friend of mine, and he came to me and said, let's do a podcast. And at that time, I get hit up by these people, the Gangster Chronicles, and they need a third person, and that's how it happened. I hadn't even known Reggie Wright until that. I knew Mob James. I had met Mob James before. I knew him, but I had never met Reggie Wright Jr. in person, and they reached out to me, and that's how that happened.
Now, before you guys got together and did the first episode, did you was there some sort of meeting beforehand to see how you guys would click or no?
There wasn't really a meeting beforehand. There was sort of if you go back to the original Gangster Chronicles episodes, the first time they brought me in was episode 3. So you won't hear me in the first 2. And episode 3 was sort of like a test. Let's just see how it goes. So they just threw me right in there. I might have met Reggie Wright for 5 minutes before we did episode 3. Maybe 15 minutes, I don't know. But there was no we had a meeting and we met each other ahead of time. The day I met him was the day we did that episode 3. And immediately they just yeah, Alex, we want you to do the show. We want you to be the facilitator. And then episode 4 is where the whole style of this podcast changed. And it stayed that way from episode 4, go back and listen, from episode 4 to about episode 50 when COVID hit. So that's pretty much how it happened. And then we just clicked. I clicked with Reg. I already knew Mob James. They knew each other for years. And we just clicked. And we kind of all come from 3 different backgrounds. So I kind of think that helped the show's success in those first 50 episodes. But yeah, I didn't know Reggie probably 15 minutes before we did episode 3.
And what'd you think? Were you fond of Reg, or I don't know if I'm gonna last with Reggie? Because I know now you're tight.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, what was your first impression?
I mean, I've always known about Reggie Wright. I've seen him do interviews before, and I really had no issue with him. And once we did it, I was like, cool. And then as I got to know him, over that year and a half, even when he went to prison, I just stayed in touch with him. We developed a cool relationship, and hopefully him and I got something new coming in the near future.
Right. But I gotta tell you this, man, ever since, I don't know, whatever Steel did to it just ain't the same. You know what I mean?
I ain't got no comment on that, man.
Okay.
All I can tell you is that literally I get at least, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 20 emails, DMs to this day about what happened. The show's shit. It went down. That was out of my control. They went on and did a deal. They did a deal based on what me, Reggie, and James had created.
Right.
And then I guess when the show got the deal and it went to the other network, they presented something different. One thing about the show that I really liked is that it wasn't based on interviews, but we would have the occasional interview, but it was really based on a conversation between us 3. And we'll throw in an occasional interview. And it was cool like that because you didn't have to worry about always booking someone. But a lot of the shows now are based on interviews because it's hard for a person to carry a show or 2 people to carry a show. But we didn't really need to do any interviews. And Reggie and we're gonna try to start something where it's gonna be just based on us 2, but we will have the occasional 3rd guest or interview subject. But hey, I wish them all the success, man. And I hope that, everything blows up for them.
Yeah, before I move forward, but I know there was, like you said, it was advertised when they did the deal with iHeart. They did something with I think they advertised you, Reggie, and Mob James, but then it went on to be Steel, MC8, and Mob. and I know they shorted Reggie out of some money, and were you deserved some? I'm not sure if you I don't know. I don't want to get into business, but did he give you your cut? Were you deserved or no?
I never received a dime from that deal. I got the same thing that Reggie got, which was nada. So yeah, I did see the promo. They sort of did an animation promo, which got posted on Charlemagne's channel, and it was a animated promo of Reggie, James, and myself, sort of introducing the Gangster Chronicles on the new network. I had nothing to do with that. I wasn't part of that deal. I wasn't part of any discussions. I didn't even know the deal was happening. I didn't even know that Charlemagne was interested in the show. I didn't know anything. So I was left in the dark. I believe Reggie Wright was left in the dark. So I had nothing to do with it, and I never received any money from that deal.
Yeah, I mean, after I heard, because me and Reggie talk private. After you told me, I was like, damn, that was some shitty shit, man.
Hey, man, this is entertainment business, and there's sharks out there, and sometimes you have to trust a shark sometimes, but that can backfire on you. But it doesn't discourage me from moving forward. But I could just say, we were dealing with sharks, and they were only interested in their own bottom line.
Right. Now, I'm a little confused with what Reggie has been announcing and putting out there. Is he returning to Gangster Chronicles, or is he doing something with you? I'm not.
I mean, we're all entitled to work on our own projects.
Right.
I got other projects that I'm working on. I got my platform, Street TV. He could work with. I don't even know. I did see one episode of, what was it? His face was
split.
It was split, and I forget the title of it. That's his business. But that's not going to stop me from working with him on what we're going to do. So you'd have to ask him, what is his plan? I just hope that he's healthy enough to do all of these things. It is a lot of work. I mean, when we did that show every week, I pretty much devoted, I think we shot the show on a Wednesday, and I would wake up that morning and spend at least 4 or 5 hours just coming up with ideas to talk about. So it's a lot of work. So, he's not in the best of shape right now because he's recovering from COVID. And I just hope that, he can, manage all these projects. But I have no idea what he's doing outside of what him and I are going to do in the very near future.
So, what you're doing with him, the podcast, is that through Digital Soapbox or no?
Absolutely not. Okay. No, absolutely not. That is the nightmare of why we're where we're at, because of that on that network. So no, I'm staying far away from it. Reggie may work with it. That's up to him. I don't give nobody a second chances like that. But he went to prison. He did over a year, I think. Yeah. So he's got to do what he's got to do. But there's no way I would ever work with anyone that did what they did to me. Right. Impossible. Absolutely not. Never. Shoot me in the head if you ever even see me talking to anyone connected to that company.